Welcome to Handi Quilter's Watch and Learn. Today we're going to have part 2 of grid work, filling in grid work. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe for more great quilting content from Handi Quilter. All right, so Kristina.
Yes.
We are doing more grid-based stuff today, right?
Yes, and with me today is Kim. So yeah, we talked a little bit earlier in our first episode about doing kind of continuous line designs.
Right.
We're going to add on to that, but today we're going to really focus on filling inside the grid lines.
Okay.
So the grid lines are just there as a guideline.
As
we're
a
not
guideline.
actually going to stitch on or to the grid lines, but in between them.
In between. And
Yes.
so behind us, we have a really great quilt that actually shows us, and I love because it's actually a large scale. So Kristina, tell us about this quilt.
So this is a quilt. I made 6 of these for graduation gifts for my son and all of his friends.
Very cool.
And so this one is my son's. They were all a little bit different, but my goal was to quilt them all differently.
Oh, very nice.
And so this one is actually my son's, and I did a kind of a ribbon candy fill in between each of the squares.
Okay.
So the squares were my grid.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So kind of like we're doing there. And I know if you look on the back, if we pull this up on the back, you can actually see that it creates like a secondary design that comes in here together.
Exactly. So this one was quilted with the same color of thread as the fabric, so it's kind of hard to see.
Yeah.
But it just kind of gave it that little bit of texture on the back.
Yeah. Well, and it made it easy because there was absolutely no marking, right?
Correct. It was such a fast and easy quilt to do.
It's cool. That's what I love about these designs. All right. So what's the first design you're going to show us today for this grid-based
Well,
quilting?
I'm going to go over to the board over here,
Okay.
and we're going to do a little bit of drawing.
Okay.
So I don't have a name for this one. I'm going to just call it Squiggles.
Squiggles. I
Yes,
like it.
We'll call it Squiggles for today. And I'm going to just do kind of up and down lines, but alternating horizontal and vertical.
Okay.
So the tip for this is to, if I'm starting in the top left, I want to start going down because that's the direction I want this to flow.
So it'll travel. Okay.
Yes. And traveling works really well if you use odd numbers.
Right. Right.
So for this, I'm going to use the number 5.
Okay.
Okay, and my middle number is the line that I want to kind of aim towards the middle of my square.
Gotcha. So it's like evenly spaced, right?
Correct. Yep. So I'm going to go down 1, up 2, down 3 in the middle,
Okay.
up 4, down 5. Then I'm going to come over 1,
Okay.
2, 3 kind of in the middle, 4, 5, and then I can continue down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I can come back. 1,
Perfect.
2, 3, 4, 5, up, 2, 3, 4, 5. I feel like I'm doing a fitness program right now.
I was just going to say, we're going to break out in some step aerobics here, Kristina.
That's always an option. So you'll also notice that my blocks that I'm drawing on are odd numbered.
Right.
So that, oops, go down here. That really helps with the direction.
Okay.
If I'd had a 4th one, I might have needed to travel
Yeah.
in a seam line or cut my threads to get to the next row.
To get to that. I love how doing this with the odds, though, you always end up at exactly the right spot to move to the next block and switch directions. It flows really, really well.
Yeah, and it's super easy to do.
Yeah. So let's do this on our quilt here. I love we're working on this same quilt here. And it is going to be so fun when we get done because it's going to be all of the awesome continuous line designs.
A little variety.
So you're going to do these 4 right here.
Yeah, so we're going to work in these blocks right here.
Okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, if you're doing odd numbers of blocks,
right.
it will work better. So you'll notice when I get to the end of this one, I might have to travel down.
Okay.
Just to get it to go in the right direction.
But that's where you can just easily hide it right in the ditch of that seam. It's not that big of a deal to do that. So, all right, cool. I'm excited to see this one quilted out.
And I could even, change things and start going up, but you just kind of play with it.
Right,
So
right.
on a large quilt, I always try to start going in the direction of the overall flow.
Right, right. Yeah, kind of moving in that direction you want to be headed in, right?
Correct. So just bringing up that bobbin thread. quick tie off. Okay, you ready for this?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
And step 1, step 2, step 3.
Oh no, it's a step aerobics again.
Okay, down 1, up 2, down 3, aiming for that middle, up 4, up 5, divide that space, and I'm going to go over. 1, 2, 3 is in the middle.
Right.
Or the ballpark.
Yeah.
4 and 5. So here I'm going to travel down, and normally I would be using kind of a thread that would match, but we're good.
That's okay. So it's a little stitch in the ditch there just to get you where you want to be. Okay.
Exactly. So this one I did the lines horizontally. So the one below it, they need to be vertical.
Right.
Okay, so I'm just going to kind of jump right in there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then horizontal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Very cool. I can see where this design would be really fun to do, maybe on a little bit of a smaller scale to really just bring some fun texture that has some visual interest to it, because it flips. Every other one flips.
Yes.
So it's not the same thing all the way across the quilt.
Correct.
I like it.
One thing I do want to point out with this one is the space between the seam and where you're actually going to stop your quilting. Try to just pick an even amount and try to keep it consistent. If you look over at this block here, I came probably a little too close because I've got to leave room for my binding on that one. But just being aware of how close you want to get to that line and look for that spot, and that's what you're aiming for.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is a cool basic design, and I can see where that would go really fast to quilt something out. You could just put on some fun music, enjoy the quilting process.
Do your step aerobics.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can do this at any scale.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about this in our previous episode, but that is one of the coolest things about this grid work is that you can do whatever size scale you want.
Right.
So you could do this down like on a 1 inch. This particular one is 5 inch maybe.
Yeah, it's 5 inches, yeah.
So yeah, mix those up a little bit. I did these in 5s. I've done them in 7s.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of the block and how close I want those lines together.
Exactly. And I was even thinking for some fun texture, you could even do a different number for your horizontal ones and a different number for your vertical ones. Although I'd probably get confused halfway through and flip them or something. But it's a really fun texture and really easy to do because you're just filling in that grid.
Exactly.
Like
okay.
Right. Let's
put something in these next 4 blocks.
Let's check it out. So
okay.
Back to the drawing board. Let's see what you've got for us.
Well, let's get rid of this first one. Okay, this next one is the design I used on this quilt behind me. So it's the ribbon candy just to fill in that space. So I like to always start in my corner, and I'm going to do just small ribbon candy.
So a ribbon candy really is, I always think of it as kind of like an S-curve where one edge of it bumps against the previous design.
Yeah.
Is that an okay way to describe it?
And yeah, and you can decide if you want it to bump or not. Some people say it has to. Some people are so concerned with them crossing over that they don't want to get close enough. Just do what works for you.
I've seen it quilted always.
Yes. So you notice that I'm trying to get into all of the corners.
Okay.
When I get to this one, I'm going to, instead of going this direction, I'm going to go this direction.
Okay.
And so here I'm going to start with some little ones. And I don't know if I can draw at this angle.
You can do it. I have faith, Kristina.
I'm going to be wild and crazy. I'm going to change directions. Am I blocking your view?
No, we can see what you're doing. It looks good.
Well, to be honest, I don't think that this direction's really helping me much. Okay, I'm going to aim to fill in this top corner with this one. So I'm going to do a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can come down and fill this next one.
Okay. I like that. And I can see how, once again, it'd be really easy to play with scale on this. Depending on how like tightly and densely quilted you wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. Could depend on how you quilt it.
Yeah, and sometimes when I get down to these little ones, I just do squiggle.
Yeah.
Just squiggle to the corner.
I totally know how that goes.
Okay, so I'm going to, once again, go the same direction as the original one. Mm-hmm. So when I'm doing these, I usually go around and then back 45-degree angle. Around and back. Around. Whoa, that one got crazy. Around. So sometimes I think about, okay, I'm going to go around a $50 or whatever scale I'm working at.
Right. And it changes as you go through the design.
Yeah, and if you do this enough times, you can count how many repeats you're doing.
Oh, right.
And kind of get a feel for where you want to aim for the long, skinny ones.
Yeah.
I'm not really counting very well on this one.
That's okay. Now this is where you start doing this next row. This is where there's almost like a secondary design that shows up. I think this is kind of fun. It creates a, I don't know, in my mind it almost kind of looks like a flower.
It's a fun one.
Yeah, it is. Just depends on how you kind of look at it. Depends on the, I guess, the type of quilt you're quilting.
Yep, so that one I left a little too much space. So maybe I should have done this one bigger, or I can just kind of
make it fit.
Shove it in there.
Make it work. That's the nice thing. Especially on a big quilt, you'll never notice if you have a little spot that's not quite what you were going for. As long as you're fairly consistent throughout, that's what it's looking for. I like that. It's almost it almost creates like a dimensional look to it too. It draws your eye into that center where the smaller parts are. Here. Yeah,
exactly. Kind of just popped. Yep. Okay, then I'm down to the next one. And again, same with the previous design. This works really nicely when you have an odd number of squares, grids. When you get into even numbers, that can kind of throw off your travel between the rows. It's still doable.
Yeah, and you'll actually show us that on the quilt we're quilting on, because we are only working in groups of 4. So it's an even number. So that'll be fun to see.
Yeah, you're gonna make me do the hard stuff.
Absolutely, Kristina, always.
I'm always up for the challenge. Ooh, that one went kind of straight up and down rather than an angle.
It still looks good though. It's still consistent enough with what you've done that it is creating that all over pattern.
And I did that on purpose so that people could see that.
Of course. It's a design choice, right? No
exactly.
Mistakes. It's a design choice. I really like that. I really like that. It has a like almost an organic feel to it. A little bit like pebbles, like you know, odd shaped stones.
Yeah.
I think that's really fun. All right, I'm excited to see this one quilted out.
So this is also a design that's really good for boy quilts. A lot of times people have a really hard time thinking of designs for boy quilts. So any of these continuous edge or continuous line designs that we've been doing are really good. They're not super flowery. They're a little bit more, I don't want to say geometric on this one, but.
Yeah. Well, but it has kind of that geometric feel because it's a simple repeating pattern, which, I mean, for a lot of people, that really is what geometric is. Nice little tie off.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you stitch this one. Ready to do some more of that.
Okay, so little ribbon candy. Trying to fill in that space. I'm going to fill in this whole circle down here, corner. And come up, fill the other one. They're getting smaller. Okay, now go in the other direction. This one's a little harder to see.
Yeah. You're still doing it right, though. I can see that. Keep it up.
Oh, I almost was ready to go for my third block, but I've got to keep it down to 2.
That's right. So you're going to show us how to travel without continuing that design. So
Yep.
Are you just going to do stitch in the ditch right down along here?
I am, but I need to get to either this corner or to this corner
wow.
here.
Okay.
So I can travel all the way down, or I can travel down and over, but actually I'm going to travel all the way down because I want to be able to come up and then do this next block down.
Gotcha.
Okay. Or I could break my thread and then go back and start on the next row.
Who wants to break their thread?
If I were doing this on an entire quilt, I would just go off the edge of the quilt and do my traveling.
I was just thinking,
on the edges.
It makes it pretty easy if you do have an even number across. You just stitch in that seam allowance area.
And you can use a ruler to do the stitching in the ditch part. And it helps when you don't have somebody pushing on your machine.
Sorry, I'm always leaning on the frame. It's because I'm watching. I'm just so spellbound by what you're doing.
So anytime I have a wobble, I'm just going to blame it on you, Kim.
Absolutely. It's all my fault.
Okay, so same thing, except we're going to come up and then down again.
Okay. I love it.
Woo. So we're going to get the question, of stitching left to right.
Yeah.
I am stitching right to left at the moment, but I am changing directions so much that I'm tricking the machine.
Right.
So it doesn't realize that I'm doing overall going right to left.
No, you really usually only run into problems with that when you're really doing like a straight line. Across your quilt.
Yeah.
As long as there's some movement, it's good.
You think I've been drinking a little.
Kristina. I think it looks great. Okay.
And there it is.
That looks so good. I love that how it just, the design, it kind of draws your eye to that center. It looks really good. It's a fun way to add some movement to your quilt. It's a fun design.
And you can do crazy thread colors if you really want to. Or you can, do colors that are going to coordinate and blend.
Blending's always good. Blending's always good. Okay, so I like that design. That's a great one. What's up next?
One more tip real quick.
Okay, one more tip.
Since we're talking about blending.
Okay.
So for beginner quilters, I always advise to use a thread that blends.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You'll have better results, you'll be happier, you'll have more confidence. As you progress in your quilting skills, then maybe try doing different colors. But the different colors definitely will show any little wobbles that you might have.
The contrast. So. And it doesn't matter how good of a quilter you are. If you are using a contrast thread, those, like you said, those little wiggles and wobbles that just happen, you really see them.
All the time.
Yep.
Okay, back to the drawing board.
Design.
Okay, what should we do next?
Well, I know you've got some more designs there. So.
Yes. So I'm going to kind of continue with that similar concept of using odd numbers.
Okay.
But I'm going to do an S curve.
Okay.
So I think of this kind of like flames maybe.
Okay.
So I'm going to do,
okay.
I'm wanting to travel to the right and down. So I'm going to do, let's see, I do 1.5, 2.5, and then the third one finishes it off.
Okay.
Okay. Then 1.5.
Okay.
2.5, 3 finishes it off.
Okay. I can see where this has kind of the same thread path as that first design that you showed us.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yep. So it's just a different line. Instead of just going straight, we're creating that curve to it.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, so 1. So you could do the 1.5, 2.5, 3, whichever works. Okay, then we're going to go down. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got to go one more. And then over. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
How's that looking? I'm going to grab another marker.
Yeah, that one looks like it's getting a little low on ink.
Okay, so I ended up here. So I'm just going to continue on to the next one. 1, 2, 3. So this one I do a little bit differently just because that S curve, I kind of do the 1 and the back or in and out is 1 unit just because that's how my brain works. Gotcha. So however your brain works, just go with it. 1, 2, and this design is very forgiving.
Yeah. I like it. That's a fun, once again, curvy design, lots of movement. It's really cool. All right, let's see you quilt this one out.
Oh, there goes my pen.
I'm gonna swap sides with you.
Okay. I'm gonna bring this thread over here. Okay, this one I have to concentrate a little bit more with those S curves.
I won't talk and I won't lean on the frame, I
No,
promise.
you lean on the frame so I can blame my wiggles on you.
I'm totally leaning on the frame for you.
Oh, maybe not that much. Okay, here we go. 1, 2 down the middle, and 3. Going up. 1, 2, and 3. Now this one, I'm going to be really wild and crazy. Instead of going in the ditch, I'm going to break my rule.
Okay.
And I'm going to just add another come down.
Okay, that makes sense to me.
And nobody will ever notice.
Exactly. Unless you happen to have a penchant for counting. Yeah.
And up. And I don't even know if my S's are going the same direction.
I think it looks great.
I like all that variety.
Yeah.
Okay.
That looks great.
No, I need another one going up.
Back up to that corner.
Yep.
There you go.
Since we're off.
Oh, I think it looks good. Once again, I really like that. That's a quick and easy. I have to. I think that this would be another great design for maybe those more masculine or geometric quilts where you don't want to do something cutesy and flowery. That's another great design for that one, for sure. Oh, that looks really good.
Yep.
All right, so we've got a couple more here to fill in.
Oh boy, you're really making me work today.
I am making you work today. So show me what you got. What do you have for your next design?
Okay, let's go over here and check it out. Okay, the next one is pretty basic.
Okay.
We're going to make X's.
Oh, I love it.
So I like to go all the way across and all the way back.
Okay.
So I'm going to go down, up,
so big
down.
chevron.
And if I had room in my throat space, I would continue on the next row.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And down. So really, it's like you're quilting a big chevron.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, there's many, many different paths that you can take for this. So this is just one. So then I'm going to have to travel up.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come back
Down.
creating those X's.
Okay.
I thought that orange would be a nice contrasting color, but
It's not quite showing up as much. Yeah. Go up,
Oops,
Oh,
wrong way.
You're following your...
This
you already
one.
did. There we go. So now you're crossing the X's. You're
Yep.
truly making them into X's.
Yes.
And I can see where it would be really easy to travel along the side just in that extra fabric you have on the frame or in the seam allowance if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Very cool. I like this one.
Again, many different pathways that you can choose from.
Okay.
So that's just one way to do it.
So let's see this one stitched out. Like this one's very simple. This looks like something I would do and feel very accomplished.
And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a design that I would put my Surefoot on and my ruler base. And I would use a ruler because doing straight lines diagonally are very, very hard.
It's true.
So I'm going to do a variation.
Okay.
We're going to go for the wiggle X.
Okay. I like it.
I'm making it up right now.
Okay.
Okay, so we're aiming for the other side. And up.
Okay. Yeah, I can see where the bigger the X is, the harder it is to keep that line really straight. Is that fair to say?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I could go ahead and just move down to the second row, or I'm going to give you another option here.
Okay.
I'm going to finish this whole first row by going back.
Okay.
And down. So one row is done, and I'm ready to continue to the next row.
Ah, okay. I like that one. Because this is definitely one that doesn't need to be stitched out all the way across.
And up. Looking where I'm aiming for. And down.
Oh, that looks really good. Little X marks the spot.
I actually just recently finished a quilt doing this pattern, and it turned out really cute. It was like just some strip piecing. So there were a bunch of blocks, but they had, you know, a bunch of strips in them. And the X was just perfect for it. It didn't detract away. Yeah, very simple. So
I like that.
But yeah, if you want your line straight, use a ruler. Or Pro Stitcher with mark.
Yeah, you could do that too. Actually, you could totally do that. So good option. All right, so we've got one more design. What do you got for us, Kristina? Let's go to the board and see, right?
Let's go to the board. Okay, so this next one is one that I have not quilted yet.
Okay.
But I'm challenging myself to try something different.
Okay.
So I should make you draw it.
You want me to draw it? Well, I haven't even seen it. So.
Okay, it's actually very basic. It's kind of not a feather, but a petal kind of fill.
Okay.
So I'm going to start in one corner, and I'm going to do 3 petals.
Okay.
And if your block is bigger, you could do more.
So do you want to start at that top corner again like you have been on all of them, or are you starting on an inside corner?
I could do them upside down.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start here.
Okay.
Okay, so my main thing is I'm visually just kind of going to break this block down.
Gotcha.
And you could actually draw on your block if you wanted to.
Okay.
But that just gives me an idea of where I'm aiming for.
Okay.
So I'm going to do a petal right here.
Okay.
Filling that space in.
Okay.
Do a petal over here, filling in this next space.
Where you're going with this one.
And a petal here to fill that space. And even though I'm starting in one corner and I'm doing petals, I'm trying really hard to fill the whole space.
Right.
And with this one, I'm going to travel over.
Okay.
And then start in the next corner.
Are you going to start? Or
what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, are you just going to do them slanting in one direction, or are you going to have them all come together in the middle?
That's the fun of it. You can do whichever way you want.
Okay.
Which way would you like me to draw?
Why don't you do the straight or the same design all the way across the top, and then maybe in the bottom ones you could do where you bring them together in the middle.
Try the
alternate. Take a look at that. Yeah.
Okay. So 1 petal, 2 petals, 3 petals.
Fun.
And travel. Now, sometimes I have a really hard time getting these funky ones on the side in. So I might do my middle one first.
Oh, okay.
And then fill in whatever space is left.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So I'm going to do my first one.
Try to divide the space first.
Yep.
I gotcha.
Fill in the next one and the third one.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And then I could travel down here if I wanted to, or around, or break my threads. Many options.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Travel. 1, 2, 3. So we mentioned earlier that most of those designs would look really good on a boy quilt. This is one that would be kind of fun on a little girl quilt.
A little more feminine filling. Like it.
Okay, so now on this bottom row, I'm just going to draw what it would look like if we alternated them.
Okay.
And there's many ways to alternate them. It's not like just turn and
I'm
flip.
seeing lots of different patterns popping up here.
Yeah, so you can play with this design and create a whole nother look. So I'm going to start down in this bottom corner, and I'm going to come in. And I'm going to travel over, and I'm going to start in this corner here this time.
Just even alternating them like that creates a different look.
But it'd be fun, like if all 4 were pointing in, or if I started at the center and all of them went out, you would create like this whole like flower look.
Flower, yeah.
Yeah. So where do you want me to start on this one?
So do that one so that they both start in that same corner.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it'd be fun to see kind of that option too.
And I always recommend doodling or drawing your stuff out just to get a feel for your direction. Because something like this, you can get really thrown off in where you're supposed to start, and if you do one going the wrong direction, you might not be happy.
Yeah. I love doing this though with the grid base, because I know when I tend to quilt a design like this, like a flower going from the center, I always feel like the petals on one side of it end up a totally different size than the ones on the other side. And so having them each fill that grid, it helps you create more consistency. I really like that.
And that's one of the things I really like about grid work is it gives you that spacing.
Yeah.
So it keeps things straight and it keeps them evenly distributed.
I love it. Okay, so let's see you quilt this one on our last spot over here.
Okay, should I start in the center?
Yeah.
And do all of them from the center?
Let's do them all
Let's see
from
what
the
it looks
center.
like.
Especially because we're working with the 4 grid. I think it'll look really good to do all 4 of them from the center. Let's see how you do. Let's see how consistent you are.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Okay. Whew. Gotta do my stretches before I can quilt. Oh boy, these are big ones.
They are big. Okay, so you started in the center.
Fill in all that space, the next one. And I'm gonna leave a little bit of room on that side for my binding.
Very good. I'm glad you pointed that out. That is important to always think of when you're quilting to those sides, so that your design doesn't disappear inside your binding.
Okay, I'm just gonna move this thread out of the way. Okay, last one. Wish me luck. Or not. Okay, what's my teaching moment for that last one I just did?
You had a little crossover. Who cares?
But if you look at it closely, you don't really notice that it crossed over. It almost looks like the one side was the second one.
Yeah. Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that that is such a cute block, though. I really like that. It's fun to see. I think that turned out really nice. I really like that.
And it's fun, and it would be fun to see like how many different ways you could position those.
Yeah.
Like I think it'd be fun to do an all-over quilt with this design and put them in wherever you want with no planning ahead of time.
I like it.
And just see what happens.
I like it. Well, I think it'd be really fun because it would create, once again, this seems to be my theme with this one, but it would create some fun movement that would draw your eyes to certain areas, because where you would occasionally do essentially that big flower like that, and your eye would kind of be drawn to that, and all the other directions, it just kind of pulls your eye in different directions. I really like it. I think that's really fun. I think that would be a fun one too to do with points instead of doing a circle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Create a little bit of a more geometric look to it.
Yeah. Another fun thing to do with this design is to start at the center of the quilt with that flower center, and then have all of the ones going out going that same direction.
See that one.
So it just kind of expands.
Draws your eye out.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
We hope you've all enjoyed watching more great ideas for doing grid-based designs. Be sure to give us a subscribe and give us a like, and have fun quilting.